talk to you because your business that you're starting, Giden Media, is something that I think a lot of designers really are interested in because they have social media channels that they've been developing for years, and to be able to use that money to or use that social channel to actually make money for them is something I think every designer talks to me about. So tell me a little bit about your company, why it started, and we'll go from there.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for having us here today, Laurie. You have created an amazing community, and it's a very growing community. And I think today, communities like this is what is needed more and more of, because our industry altogether requires more education. And before I jump into what Giden is, that is one of a very important pillar for us as well. And that is something we plan on executing differently from what people have tried in the past, which is educating designers and home influencers on how to go about doing content collaborations. The biggest challenge that Annie is my co-founder, she is also an interior designer as well. And things that we experienced while speaking to designers as we were starting to build this product 2 years ago was that it's really hard for busy professionals to work around the flows that content creators needs to create to do regular partnerships. So designers, they've been so focused on creating great content, documenting their project and posting about how they've created these unique spaces on Instagram, on Pinterest, and YouTube, but they were never able to use that digital audience and influence that they created to start monetizing it, because they never took that opportunity as a brand collaboration, how they can use these social libraries and that they've been creating of so many inspirations and inspiring so many people on how can we take this to a brand. We have been digital salespeople for these brands for decades now on how we are educating homeowners, we're educating DIYers on how to use different products that the brands are launching and are promoting online. But sure, go ahead.
I will say that I kind of disagree about that. I do think that designers have definitely worked with brands quite a bit in the past and have, been successful in lots of different, with lots of different companies to make those connections in the past. But there wasn't anything that was more steady that you could sign up for. And, I've looked at your program and I've looked at what you're doing, and there wasn't anything where you could just sign up and then go back and look and see what campaigns are, and you can just kind of do that digitally. It was all, through email, through channels, specific people would invite you to do specific things for social media, and not more mass, produced, so that it was easier and more accessible to designers. And I will say too that I know a lot of designers are really excited about it, but I am too. But this is definitely something that has been, attempted before, but it hasn't been successful. And I know that that's probably something that designers are worried about because, it takes a tremendous amount of time. They're very busy. They don't necessarily have the time to set up, a new channel, because we all have these, these new digital, this is going to help you sell, or this is going to create an income. And then they spend the time to, get their products on, get their information on that platform, and the platform sometimes doesn't go off. I mean, I've been doing this for 9 years, so I've seen, digital businesses like this come and go. But I will say I've taken a look at your back end, and you have a very nice, easy to load situation here where they're just putting in their social channels. Some of that information is coming in automatically, so that it's less time consuming to set up, for like in comparison to somebody who would maybe have request them to put their whole portfolio on of photographs or things like that would just take forever to upload and put in keywords, something like a house situation. Yours is much easier. I think it would probably only take minutes.
I would definitely agree with that. That our main goal was to getting them set up and getting them onboarded as quickly as possible, because the most important thing designers need to set up with Giden is their media kits, which
Yeah,
is getting to a point to understanding what is their social influence.
yeah,
Once they connect their Instagram or once they get onboarded with us through our process, they are able to see what their analytics is like, what kind of followers and engagements they have. We, within the platform, we also educate them on what the industry rates are, how much price, what kind of price tag they can put together with their IG stories, with their IG reels, with their IG post plus Pinterest post. So they can create those bundles and cross promotions partnerships as well. The biggest thing that we gave them was we gave them the freedom to create their own pricing. We do not
right.
go in there and set their pricing for them. However, we are realizing that right now that does require education. A lot of them don't know, even though if we have 30, 40,000 followers, how much should I be really charging? And how, like a lot of designers also don't know, a lot of creators don't really know how many fake followers do they have. And do they, when they're pitching to a brand, should they, accommodate for that kind of a pricing or not? But the platform in general makes it very easy for them to come set it up, create their media
Right.
kit, connect their Instagram, and now all they have to do is wait for a brand to either add them to a private campaign or for them to go to our marketplace where they can see all different collaboration opportunities that brands will be posting. Since we just went live 3 weeks ago, we're still in the process of onboarding brands and onboarding products. So I believe as we get towards the end of Q1, designers will see a lot more engagement over there, and they will be notified as soon as we start onboarding brands and onboarding products within the platform.
Sure, sure. And I think that that's really what they're looking for. I mean, I think that they recognize that they have these channels already developed. And, I was talking to Annie yesterday, and I really believe that, I'm not going to pitch this to your brands, but I think that brands need to recognize that designers' circle of friends, when you compare a designer circle of friends and who who's following them, um, compared to sometimes other home influencers like DIY home influencers, the income of those followers is vastly different. And a designer
Yeah.
has high income earners in their following. So for brands to even work with designers who might not have a high amount of followers, but the value of those followers is extremely high because they're all high income earners that are following them.
I think 100% we as Guidance firmly believe in that as well. And I think in our first 2 years, we did a lot of custom collaborations between brands and designers. And that only, confirmed our initial assumptions that how much nano and micro designers, even if they don't have hundreds and thousands of followers, bring so much value. And we gather data points on that the kind of audience that they have is elite, like you said, and they also are following them for a purpose, which
Right,
is home inspiration. This is not a food blogger. This is not a 400,000 chef, follower chef that is gonna attract all kind of different people with different intentions. When
right,
you see an audience of a designer, they are specifically focused and engaged with them, at least the engaged audience for their home renovations.
right. And not
And
just
for
home renovations, but luxury home
luxury
furnishing,
home renovation, yep, it's very
So
true.
that is, not everyone can afford luxury home furniture, and that's the truth, and
Yeah.
so to be able to, access that designer circle, of who they know and who is following them is actually really, it's a win-win for the brands, and it's obviously a win for the designers, which is what we want.
Yeah.
So,
I think that the point is like, a lot of people have tried this and weren't successful is because I think it's a lot to do with the timing to the market. If we would have come to the market 4 or 5 years back, I think we would have struggled as well. I'm not saying we're not struggling at this stage since we're so young and we're so still in very early stages of our journey and we're just getting started. But the positive that we've seen is the momentum of interest that we have gathered from brands and designers at the both sides. Pandemic really accelerated, like people were already thinking about e-commerce, brands were already thinking about going digital tapping into, you know, designers and how to increase the number of collaborations they do with designers. The challenging part was for them, they didn't really understand how to really measure the ROI for it. They didn't really have metrics of comparisons to how would this change what they're doing with their existing PR efforts, or what they're doing with, you know, going and promoting with Architectural Digest. But the difference is they were not able to really track ROI over there as well. They didn't know how many
Yeah,
people saw a magazine and then were inspired to come to their website or go to a showroom to buy a product.
I agree. And no, I think that I feel for the designers too, because I've actually seen it on both sides. So I know I was telling Annie last night that there's a designer, furniture manufacturer that I know who did give a full set of furniture to someone who had million followers. And she considers it one of the worst marketing decisions financially that she's done, because it was she didn't really get any, she didn't get anything out of it. She got a little bit of, video and a little bit of photo, but as far as, what it did for her business, she never recouped that financial investment. And so, and partly that's because maybe it was the wrong influencer, maybe it was the wrong product, maybe it was too high value, so that there wasn't you weren't able to recoup that. So the idea that you have that you're that designers can put in their own compensation. So it doesn't have to be, a $5,000 sofa that they're getting. I mean, that's a lot of money that you have to generate for that brand, for them to recoup that. But to be able to set a set amount of money that they can get, or partial product, or maybe credits, those kinds of things would be very valuable to designers.
Yeah.
I know so many that I can't tell you over the years that have said to me, that they want that, everybody dreams of like the income that, that it's income that they can get when they're sleeping. You know what I mean? So it's passive income is like the whole thing. I try to, dispel that myth, because I honestly don't believe that there is any real true passive income.
No, this is certainly not a passive income. I think it's an additional opportunity for revenue, because it is work.
Yes.
But I believe designers are set up to be the most successful influencers for this industry. Reason being, they have the audience. They already have access to projects, products, brand relationships, and their social audiences, right? So for them,
I can't think of any other industry where you have a group, the people that are following these people would, when you think of luxury markets, like the car markets, or fine dining or something like that, where it's concentrated so heavily in the high income earner followers, other than interior designers. I mean, I just think that they're probably the top in the all of Instagram.
100%. And see, another thing is, like something that brands didn't have was a centralized place to not spend a lot of time finding who's the right designer, what is the right project to invest in. And that's what we bring them closer to, right? The way we are able to consolidate all the designers and focus it to our industry for these brands, that makes a big difference for them. And that's what in our meetings they're loving, that this is very focused. We don't have lifestyle bloggers, we don't have food bloggers, we don't have travel bloggers or influencers, right? It is all about designers and home influencers. And another great part is we make it very flexible for brands to offer different types of compensations in their campaigns. We allow them to have product. We allow them to have a trade discount, extra trade discount, and payment. We allow them to do payments, and it gives the brands the flexibility. And it's a lot easier to give that discount because they already have trade programs. They're already giving discounts to designers now. It's just a lot easier for them to do it within a platform instead of managing all of this through emails. So this way they're able to keep track of everything. So I think this will encourage them to take that step. Right now, we're talking to some really big retailers. I honestly never thought that they would they do not sell online and they would be interested in this, but they are changing their minds, right? They are open to new things, and all they want to do is they want to work with designers. If it's an influencer, it has to be a designer. So those are great and positive signs for designers to, start looking into this direction and start thinking about how they can not just look at their project or their own home when they're doing a collaboration as this is me highlighting my work to get new clients and to attract new audiences. I think that another element they now need to start seeing from is how this project is also an opportunity for me to get more revenue through brand collaborations, because I have done all the hard work of building this audience. I have done all the hard work of getting the project, designing this project, putting all different resources together from all these different brands. And now it's about how can I add additional value. Maybe it might be another 4 or 5 hours of extra shoot time that they might have to set another day for within that 2 day of shoot that they have, or 1 day of shoot. But the benefits of that for them is just huge, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, I think you're dead on about that. I think if you make it easy and if you make it something that designers can, or the brands can really like track and figure things out easily, they're going to be much more open to it. I think a lot of brands understand that social media should be a component in their marketing now. They're much more educated about social media than they were 10 years ago, for sure. And you know, they understand that the creator's place in that is super important. And I think that is from the designer side, they already need to get content just post on social for their own marketing purposes anyway. So to me, it's a win-win situation for them, you know, that they, you know, sort of work together. And I also see like you could really get this outside of the industry too. There are a lot of brands in the past that I've worked with that are not in the industry at all, but they absolutely, you know, have to really need to work with brands. And Sonia just said, in an international market, a lot of brands have agents who may not be educated to represent the brands and are not allowing the right to exposure for themselves. So that's another thing that brands, in this industry, it's so much of who you know, and I think you know that. And you know, it also helps them by doing events like this to make a better relationship with the brands also, you know, for their own, you know, discounts, getting furniture, you know, information about back orders. You know, the closer you are with the brands that you're working with, the closer relationship you have, the better it is for your business long term.
100%. Another thing, you know, is like when it comes to international brands, see, I come from India. I've had a family business in the home industry. That's how I'm so close to this. I've seen it as, you know, I was growing up. And what we are doing today, we might see slow effects starting today, but 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, our goal is to get these international brands direct access to designers and homeowners. Right now, these brands have to go through big distributors. They have to go through retailers because they don't know how to market. But when designers can become their digital sales force and give them access to their own audiences, now designers are the people that are going to be helping these international brands market them to North American audience.
Right.
Like be it a brand in London, be it a brand in Europe, India, Vietnam, no matter where they are, if they want access to the North American market directly, it's going to be through designers. It's going to be through creators, and designers are the creators for this industry.
Right, right. So tell me a little bit, when you first start, what made you think that this was something that you wanted to pursue as a business? Because you were in the furniture industry. So what was that light bulb moment?
Like for me, it was when I was seeing for my own brand that when designers just taking a product to a designer meeting and them sharing about it, we getting 10 new designer meetings locally. And that kind of started happening when designers would talk about us more and more. We grew our brand organically. And that's what started making me think, why aren't we leveraging designers? Why are we not rewarding them to do this? And we started doing some tests where we started rewarding designers to create more content. And when they did that, we used that content and started, you know, boosting it as boosted content on Instagram, on Pinterest, and we saw more growth from it. And another great part about designers is that it's more authentic.
Yes.
You know, as a brand, me, you know, creating a space that has a cost to it, me hiring photographers, videographers, PR agencies, that all has cost, a really high cost, just to create content around one product. I'm paying about $200,000 as compared to me activating 20 interior designers, different cities, with the same amount of money, with the same amount of budget. The amount of reach and engagement that I'm going to generate through designers is unbeatable. And we saw that increase in ROI. We saw 13 to 14x ROI on that.
Yes, I remember you saying like 40 times the amount of revenue based on that, you know, taking that content and making it into ads or whatever they needed to use it for.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic that you were able to do that.
And that's, you know, that's what we want.
Really, that's how the idea started.
Yeah. And that's how I wanted to bring, I question myself, why aren't other people doing it? And if one brand can do it, that is nobody today. Right? Why can't brands that are already established? Why are they spending so much money? Why are their ad budgets, why are their marketing budgets not going towards influencer marketing? So once we started exploring that, you know, I met with Annie. Annie, as a designer, also started sharing the challenges that designers had as well, while they were trying to pitch to a brand for brand collaborations. It's like, you know, you mentioned earlier, designers have been doing these collaborations. They are. But when you look at that segment of designers, they're celebrity designers or they're macro influencers that are being able to get these collaboration deals.
I know some that don't. You know, I really do know a mix. You know, it's sometimes it's true. You know, sometimes they are a celebrity and they have done something that made them celebrity through, you know, they might not have a huge social following, but maybe they were on a show for HGTV or something like that. But you know, it's not just those followers. I think that there are there are companies that PR companies are often doing different initiatives that reach, you know, regular everyday designers.
No, I think yeah. Let me correct myself. I agree with you. There are designers that are under 100,000 followers that are getting collaborations with brands. Now, would you say from your experience and what you've seen, it's mostly to do with their own homes, if it's not to do with HGTV or House and Home or these kind of avenues?
I don't think necessarily that's true. But I do think that, you know, those types of things are usually rarely compensated with cash. They're mostly compensated with travel experiences or other kinds of experiences that, you know, are great. They're amazing, but they're not necessarily like cash in your pocket kind of things.
So it's like more like High Point Market, right? Going to High Point Market and talking about
we'll bring you to High Point. Like the Style Spotters are an example, you know, that High Point does. They bring them to High Point. They let them, you know, they go on, they have like a position of authority at High Point to be able to find the top styles and to report that and for High Point, and they get their expenses paid to go to High Point, which is wonderful. And they get a lot to learn, you know, to be close to the brands in a different level. But it's not usually as much like, here's, you know, a check for $350, you know what I mean? That kind of.
And I think like now the technology is changing, you know, the quality of content that you can generate from your iPhone as a designer, that changes things, right? Like that wasn't there 5 to 6 years ago. Today, a designer can create the same kind of content from their phones through their projects 10 times a year. So even if they're working with 30 to 40 brands like annually, and if they work with 4 of them as branded partners for collaborations, they're pocketing $20,000 to $30,000 through trade discounts, through products for their projects, or through direct cash payments. Right. And that's start.
Even though it is, you know, money for exchange of services, it's not exactly passive income. It's content. I think designers want to produce anyway for their own channels to grow so that they get more clients. So it's almost like passive income because it's content they would be creating no matter what, you know? So it's just an extension of the content that they already have to create.
100%.
I think that's really interesting. And I really, really do want it to be successful because I know so many designers that are, you know, that are really doing great things online, really creative things. You know, Reels have taken off on Instagram and they've jumped right in and they're making cool videos. They're really on top of it. So, you know, I would love to see some sort of way to work with brands better. And I even think that there hasn't been an agency that's really focused on, you know, brands that are in the industry and brands that aren't in the industry as well. Because I think that, you know, because of that circle of high income earners that usually follow interior designers, it would be wonderful if, you know, we also had, you know, working with other brands that are sort of outside of the industry, but also service the luxury industry.
No, I definitely see that as a potential as well. Like if, let's say, designer is working on a gym for a house and Peloton wants to collaborate with that designer, there is a potential collaboration there, you know?
Yeah.
So another thing that, you know, we are doing for designers is introducing something very new, which is a virtual collaboration. This is basically, a brand doesn't have to really give a product in this scenario, because designers are getting so talented with technologies that they can create really high-end 3D renderings of unique spaces featuring brands' product and then posting that on their social channels. That's a collaboration. And that is a new type of collaboration that we are including in a platform that brands will be able to work with designers that are offering 3D renderings.
Yeah.
And that's something they're going to do regardless.
Better. I mean, IKEA did their whole catalog that way. So, yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of opportunities for designers and for brands. And I think we're just getting started. We're just, you know, getting to learn more and more about what the motivations are in the market. And now it's time for us to really put things together. And I think we've just put the fundamental layer by introducing very basic things to a platform for them to just start and get started and start getting used to it. And today, all of them can sign up. You know, there's barely any cost. There's only cost, which if they're successful in collaborating through the platform.
Sure.
There is no cost to post campaigns for a brand. There's no cost to invite designers, inviting influencers to their campaigns. Only when they finalize the designer, there's a cost to it. And that's only they have to pay once all the content has been posted, and designer gets their payment once the collaboration has been completed. And I think all these processes where brands don't have to go and transfer money themselves, sign contracts, create contracts, all these things being automated for them also takes away a lot of work from their marketing teams.
Sure, absolutely. I think that I think it's really exciting. I do want to tell my designers out there that if you are going over and signing up, which I highly recommend you do, be patient, because it's brand new. It's just starting. Sometimes it takes a while for the brands to adopt this. So it could be 6 months, it could be a year even, until you have a campaign that's working that you want to really go for. But if we're all investing our time in this, and we're all putting our profiles on, and we're making this a successful platform, then the more people that are attractive to market to online are there, the more the brands would be willing to jump on board. And it does take a minute for the brands to, you know, get excited about something like that. It's something new. So
yeah, I think like thanks for saying that. I really appreciate that. You know, it is just like we try to be as transparent as possible. You know, we're not trying to hide anything. We're trying to be very open with designers and brands, and we're letting them know that this is not for us. Like, you know, of course we are a company here to, you know, make profit and something bigger than what we are, but end of the day, we are nobody without the community. Right. I think we are not making money unless and until designers making money. We're not making money unless and until brands getting value from what they're trying to achieve through this platform. So yeah. Like, I think what you said is important. It is going to take time, but I think it's a very little investment that they need to make. Very, very little investment that they need to make.
It's pretty easy to set up. And I think that just give it time more than anything else is, you know, take the time to set up your profile and then give it some time, because if we all are a little bit patient in this process, this is something that could be really good for the industry, you know, to have someone advocating for designers in this way, you know, so that there are getting additional revenue streams, and it could pay for marketing budget. You know, it could pay for, you know, it could offset your marketing budget completely, which is something that all designers really are always looking for, is how am I going to get that next client is always in their mind. So, you know, if you had some extra money coming in that you could use for your marketing by making things work like this, why wouldn't you try that?
Yeah. And I think like being able to work with, you know, communities like yourselves that you've created in Interior Design Community, and working with other associations, we are creating a program right now that while we onboard the brands, while we onboard more designers, we're not going to leave the designers hanging. We are creating a program for them to keep constantly educating them on how they can start leveraging their influence, and how they can start making better content, not just to attract collaborations, but also to grow their followings online. So we are going to do our part while they support us, while they're patient with us on how they can, you know, do better on social media. And that's
I think
something
that,
we are very committed to.
yeah. And I've seen just the growth that you have had since you've started. I think that that's wonderful.
Thank you, Laurie.
We have someone saying, for a brand, there cannot be anything more authentic. It's my studio is saying, authentic than a designer community speaking about your brand and product. And I think that's so true. It's authenticity. It's the designer knows why you would pick that product, why you would choose a specific, you know, product for a certain area, and why it's better. That, you know, they can speak about it in a totally different way because they have so much experience with different products than, you know, just a regular person or a DIYer who might have experience with 2 or 3 products a designer has touched and felt and examined and looked at the spec sheet of like so many different products, that they know what they're doing. They know they can speak about it on a totally different level.
Yeah, and I completely forgot about this, but another feature that we have, I'm sure you saw that, was being able to create projects within the platform, which basically, as they, like, you know, sign up, create their media kit. Now, if they're trying to source deals for the existing projects that they're working on, they can sign up, tell us about the project that they're working on and what kind of brands that they would like to work with, what kind of products they would like to include in the project. And they never know, a brand wants to create content for that particular product. And the biggest part is if the brand finds out, oh, I have an opportunity here and this is the perfect creator for my like product, boom, there's a collaboration opportunity over there, which a designer would have to email all of their brands and keep asking them and try to figure something out, collaboration terms to emails. And that's why they stop, right? They don't
Yeah,
even
it's
try
well,
to
it's
do
another
that.
whole job. You'd have to, like, it takes time, it takes money, investment, you know, labor. And as Annie says, like when you're starting out and you're new and you can't, there's, you know, brands aren't even gonna maybe, you know, even offer you to be able to sell their products. So, you know, to be able to create that relationship in different ways as a new designer is actually really a interesting idea too. Because this industry is very much about relationships, I think.
That is so true. I'll give you an example. Recently, we worked on this collaboration with a designer from Ontario. She has about 4,000 followers, just touching 4,000 mark. And she created this beautiful presentation, told us about the brands that she wanted to work with, the products that she wanted, all local vendors, and they all said yes.
Oh,
I
wow.
was surprised myself. They all said yes. And they figured out some kind of compensation for the designer, right? And
Wonderful.
that we are really
That's kind
excited
of
to see what that.
amazing, because what that said, what if you're listening, what you're what he just said is like, you have a product, you have a project right now that you're working on. You already know the brands you're going to be using. Could you use Giden to go to them? Is it Giden or Giden?
Guidance.
To
Yeah,
go and negotiate some sort of compensation for using those products on top of the discount, the designer discount you're already getting. Now that's amazing.
exactly. Laurie, I want to ask you something before we run out of time. What is the
Sure.
best way for us to engage your community? How can we chat with them more? How can we ask them questions, any concerns that they might have?
I think my community is our community, interior design community, is very open, and they're awesome people. So just engaging with them, they are people. So,
Yeah.
we engage with them, knowing their needs, speaking to them and talking to them also always about their needs, being transparent about those things. That's going to build trust, and trust is and attention is the hard thing with design, because it's such a time-consuming job that they don't always have the time to vet every new product that comes out or every new idea that comes out. And if they're going to spend the time really to work on something like this, it takes away from their billable hours to, bring in profit for their design business. So building that trust within the industry is really going to earn more and more of them to come and work with you.
Yeah. And I think true. And I also think, since today every business has to create content to stay relevant and to reach their potential clients, I think designers through their own needs are already becoming better content creators. And I think now they need better tools that fit in with their existing workflows for them to succeed as creators.
I think so too. I mean, I've seen, like Sonia just says, she sold millions of dollars for brands in the embassy projects, and credit went to the agent and just happened to represent the brands in the region. So the brands probably didn't even know that she was doing, that she's the one selling the product. They just see the reps and they say, oh, that rep did great. They're doing wonderful in their quarter. But it's really the designers behind that are representing that, and to get that attention and that direct contact is so important for them. So I think that this platform could be very useful in that area.
So do you think best place to connect with the community is through interior design community Mighty Networks? Should we all subscribe to that, or should we connect in the Facebook group?
The Mighty Networks, you're welcome to do that. Our Instagram channel is really thriving. We have a small Facebook group that's amazing, really, really rich content, and just talking to them, going to shows, going to following the people that we follow, or the people that follow us that are really amazing designers, and just talking to them. And if you work with them and you really kind of get to know them, they're going to be excited to do something, but you have to win them over, because even me, when I first started this,
of course,
it wasn't like everybody just joined interior design community day one. I mean, it took a minute is this something I really want to do? Oh, I've seen this before, I like it, and then eventually you win them over.
I would love to set up a demo for your community, if we can make
that would be wonderful. Yeah,
like a webinar or something that can be recorded. You can share that with your community.
Absolutely, I'm happy to do that.
Perfect. So I bet, just like how you saw the platform yesterday, I think your community needs to see it.
I think so too, because it was easy, and I think that if anything, that they are probably a little bit, just knowing my history with designers, they are probably a little bit gun shy about investing the time to set up another profile on another company, because some of these companies haven't been successful in the past. But this is different. I think this has a really win-win scenario, and I think that the ease of setting it up is pretty great. It's pretty seamless, and it looked fairly quick in the process.
I would agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry that I was slightly late.
That's okay, Laurie.
I really appreciate it, and I hope everyone got a lot of information out of this. We will be posting this in our Instagram channel too, so on our feed. So if you want to take a look at it later, you're welcome to. If you want to read through everything or listen to everything while you're driving around, that's great too. Thanks.
I've also added our website to the comments.
Yeah.
So people can access that.
And I will put that in. I'll just definitely put that in description when I post it as well. So if you look for it later on interiordesigncommunity.com.
All right, let's schedule a webinar, and I think I'll email you regarding that. We can set something.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, Laurie. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.